In the earliest days of the Christian Church, there were no prisons, no police, and no courts of law. Justice, when it came swiftly and sometimes fatally. A married couple walks into the presence of the apostles. They are respected. They are believers. They are not accused of murder or theft, but they lie. And before the day ends, both of them are dead. This is not a parable, and this is not a metaphor. This is recorded history in the book of Acts. Tonight, we examine one of the most chilling cases in Scripture, Ananias and Sapphira, death by deceit. The account appears in Acts chapter 5, traditionally dated to the early 30s AD, shortly after the crucifixion of Jesus. The Christian movement is small, vulnerable, and under constant threat. Believers live communally, often selling land or possessions to support one another. Importantly, this was voluntary. There was no law forcing donations, no apostolic tax, no punishment for keeping personal property, which makes what happens next all the more disturbing. Ananias and his wife Sapphira sell a piece of land. They bring part of the money to the apostles, specifically to Peter, but present it as the full amount. The crime is not withholding money. Peter explicitly states this. Didn't it belong to you before it was sold? And after it was sold, wasn't the money at your disposal? Their offense is deception, a calculated attempt to gain spiritual status through dishonesty. In modern terms, it is fraud committed for prestige. Peter confronts Ananias directly. He does not accuse him of lying to men, but to God. There is no physical violence described, no curse spoken, and no command issued. After hearing the accusation, Ananias collapses and dies. Scripture gives no medical explanation, no struggle, no revival attempt, only this chilling line. Great fear seized all who heard what had happened. 3 hours later, Sapphira arrives, unaware that her husband is dead. Peter gives her a chance to tell the truth, but she repeats the lie. Only then does Peter reveal what has happened and what will happen next. Moments later, she also collapses and dies. The young men who buried her husband return, and they carry her out as well. Husband and wife are buried separately. No funeral described, no mourning recorded, only fear. The text attributes their death to divine judgment, but it does not explain how they died. Some scholars note sudden shock, extreme fear, stress-induced collapse, all plausible, but none stated. The author of Acts makes the theological point clear. The early church was built on truth and not performance. This is not a warning against wealth. This is a warning against hypocrisy masquerading as holiness. Ananias and Sapphira were not outsiders. They were insiders. They were not violent criminals. They were respectable, married, and devout. Their crime was image management, presenting righteousness they did not possess, and the consequence was immediate. On A Veil of Crime, we often examine murders hidden by power, violence disguised as respectability. But sometimes the most dangerous crime is the lie told to belong, because in this case, the truth was not merely exposed, it was fatal. If you're drawn to the darker, documented stories hidden within history and scripture, subscribe to A Veil of Crime. New episodes release regularly where faith, fear, and forensic truth intersect. And if this case unsettled you, you're not alone. That fear was written into the story 2,000 years ago.